At the beginning of the year, we identified writing as an area of need for our PLC. We focused specifically on 5th grade, and during our first few PLCs, we spent a lot of time analyzing the standards and really looking at the FSA rubric to determine what the expectations for students would be. After we got some beginning of the year writing samples back, we had our teachers meet with Andrea Altman, Veterans ICT Literacy Coach, and really the purpose of that meeting was to help the teachers come together and have opportunities to collaborate about the student writing, the instruction that was happening in classrooms.
We were able to share ideas. We were able to talk about what we were doing at our schools. We were able to borrow ideas from each other. We did some problem solving together. The whole idea about getting together and scoring as a group using Andrea came about directly out of our PLCs. I mean, training, anybody can come up with the idea for training, but when we got together and we were talking, we realized that we were getting feedback from the different individuals about how we were scoring, and we realized that we needed to get together and try as a group to come up with some kind of calibration on what that scoring should be. So
we wanted to make sure that when we were scoring student writing, that we were doing two things. We were providing the students with the honest feedback in relation to the rubric, but we also wanted to make sure that we were then using that to drive the instruction as we move forward, and in hopes to have the students prepared by the beginning of March for this assessment.
We started off on this project knowing at the beginning of the year that the FSA standards were going to be a bit more challenging, and there were some issues that we were concerned about in terms of how are we going to go about teaching writing to our students in an integrated fashion. And as we started off on the project, Gretchen Scott and I, we really started off not really knowing what to expect. We had a general idea of where we wanted to go, but weren't completely sure how to go about doing it. Where we really started to make, I think, positive forward momentum was when the three schools came up with a common assessment, and we decided that we found a good tool that we thought at the time to have all of our 5th grade students take, and they did that. As soon as the students took the FSA writing part, Gretchen, Scott, and myself, we all got together and we did a comparison. We looked to see how the students did.
And we actually calibrated scoring together so that we could look at a piece and we could see how it scored on the rubric based on the 3 areas that we were looking at. And that was very helpful for me, and I know it was helpful for my teachers, because it's one thing to sit there isolated and look at a paper and look at a score, a rubric, and say, okay, I think it's this. But when you're going back and forth and when you're looking at multiple papers across multiple schools and multiple classrooms, you start to realize that maybe what I thought was a 2 or what I thought was a 3 may not be. And so I didn't get to participate in the entire thing, but I really enjoyed that opportunity, and I think it was very beneficial and eye-opening for me to realize what the teachers were dealing with.
And we talked about how we were approaching the writing instruction and how we're actually grading students to hopefully have some school-to-school reliability, inter-rater reliability, and then ultimately teacher-to-teacher reliability between the 3 schools.
All right, with the new standards, our approach to writing this year has changed in many ways. One way that our approach to writing has changed is that we are writing across the curriculum. With the new standards, our students have to show evidence in their knowledge and content areas such as science and math, so we're giving our students the experiences to write across the curriculum.
This carries over to all the subjects. The same thing you've been doing in ELA, you're actually going to do in the science content. So when they figured that out, they actually did a great job kind of pulling out that information from the science text. We got some feedback from our ELA part of our team, and they loved exactly what the kids were doing. They loved that they were pulling out the information, they were able to elaborate on it, and then summarize what they learned.
All of the subject areas seem to be blended together. They need to be able to make the connections with math and science and with even the reading and the writing. And I think that was the biggest challenge this year for the students and for us as educators to teach them.
In the beginning of the year, we realized that I'm not just the math and science teacher, that we wanted to make sure that our students know that reading, the purpose of reading and writing is that we understand the world around us, And so we wanted to make sure that we were really incorporating that into both our math and our science block in the afternoon.
We needed to learn a little bit about the FSA writing rubric. And our ELA part of the team became the experts on this rubric. And through the problem-solving process, they sort of taught us the main parts that we needed to know and teach in science.
The biggest thing I saw was planning was very important for the kids, and it was a different approach to planning that they've never done before. So the students were actively participating in their learning.
We were very pigeonholed to a pacing guide, but with our standards, we now are using scales and rubrics as well as the standards to drive our instruction.
The FSA rubric helps us because it helps us figure out how to implement our sentences and paragraphs.
It tells me what I should work on and what my writing piece needs in it and what I should do more of and what I should do less of.
The rubric really helps me with stuff because it shows me step by step like what I'm supposed to put in there and like what I'm supposed to do and what my teachers are looking for.
But it's definitely given them like more of a purpose. So now they know like, all right, well, this is how I can be a 4 on this rubric, or I can be a 3 on this rubric if I add this to my writing.
It's not just based off of their ideas, it's not just writing down ideas in their heads, they have to use text support.
You need evidence to support your main point or reason.
It was very beneficial to spend some time with each other on a regular basis and bounce ideas off and steal ideas, borrow ideas, whatever you want to call it. That was very helpful because even though we were focused on the same thing, we each have our own ideas, we each have our own strengths and weaknesses from our school and our staff, and we were able to benefit from 3 different schools as opposed to just our own school.